We all start projects wanting them to succeed, right?
Right.
But sometimes what really sets you apart is that ability to see problems coming before they actually hit.
Exactly.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into this key skill in project management, identifying risks.
Right on.
And we'll be drawing on the insights from the book Project Management for Project Managers by Orlando Casabone.
Good stuff.
Basically, we want to give you the tools and knowledge to find those hidden risks so you can start your planning from a position of strength.
Yeah, that's the key. While brainstorming can be helpful, sometimes you really need a more structured way to go about it.
So we're not just relying on gut feeling.
Right. A more systematic approach can uncover risks early. And one of the first places to look is your project documentation.
Okay, so when you say documentation, what exactly are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, there's the contract. It basically lays out everything you're supposed to do and deliver. But if there's anything unclear in there, or any clauses that are just too strict, you could run into problems later on if everyone's interpreting things differently.
Makes sense.
Then you've got the project plan itself, which maps out the timeline and dependencies. And whenever one task relies on another to be completed first, that automatically creates a potential weak point.
Right, a bottleneck.
Exactly. And then there's the work breakdown structure, or what some folks call the PSP design. This breaks down the project into all its tiny pieces.
Yeah, getting into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. And when you do that, you often see things that are just plain complex or places where the design itself could pose a challenge.
I see. So it's about seeing the forest and the trees.
Exactly. And don't forget about the assumptions you've made from the start, because any assumption that's not clearly stated or verified can become a roadblock later. You really got to bring those assumptions to the surface and question them.
Challenge them, make sure they hold water.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've talked about the paperwork, the stuff internal to the project. But shouldn't we also be looking outside beyond the immediate project?
Oh, for sure. Lots of organizations and industries have developed some really useful tools over the years. Take risk categories, for instance.
Oh, hey, risk categories.
Yeah. These give you a framework for thinking about potential problems across various areas. So you're not just fixated on, say, technical risks, but forgetting about financial or resource issues.
It's like having a wider lens, a more complete view.
Exactly. And then you can tap into past experiences within the company.
So we're talking about learning from history.
Precisely. Look at things like customer complaints or records of quality defects from previous projects. If those issues have popped up before, chances are they could happen again.
So those are like red flags, warning signs.
Exactly. And a lot of teams use risk checklists. It's basically a document that keeps track of common pitfalls, kind of like a reminder so you don't overlook anything obvious.
Right, so we're using those past headaches to avoid future ones. Makes total sense. But what about the people actually working on the project? I mean, they must have some valuable insights too, right?
Oh, without a doubt. When you talk to stakeholders and team members, you get their perspective, their concerns, and their past experiences, things that might not be written down anywhere.
Yeah, because they're the ones in the trenches.
Exactly. And don't limit yourself to just your internal team.
So reach out further afield.
Right. Talk to experts in the industry who've done similar projects before. They can offer insights into risks you might not have even thought of.
That outside perspective can be so valuable.
Definitely. And last but not least, always review the lessons learned from previous projects. Both successes and failures can teach you a lot about what can go wrong and how to deal with it.
So it's not just about avoiding mistakes, but also capitalizing on what went well.
Precisely.
So we've covered a lot of ground here: project documents, company and industry tools, and the importance of experiences. It sounds like taking a proactive approach and really digging into these areas can make a world of difference when it comes to preventing problems.
It really does. It's all about being prepared. By systematically exploring these sources, you're dramatically increasing your chances of success.
This has been super helpful in understanding where to focus our energy when we're trying to identify potential risks. So thinking about all these different angles, what's one area of risk that you might have overlooked in your own projects in the past?
That's a good question.
And for a much deeper dive into these essential project management techniques, we highly recommend checking out Project Management for Project Managers by Orlando Casabone.
Absolutely a great resource.
So until next time, happy project planning, everyone.
Stay safe out there.